Good morning, everyone. It's Jose from Hotel Cockerel. It's Sunday, the 30th of June. It is PSR FFP Closure today. I set this show up during the week, knowing that today was the 30th of June. And lo and behold, a lot of what I've been saying for the last while or so is coming to fruition at the moment. So, before we start, let's get through some of the people in the chat. So you've got, I know that Jim, from Just a Girl Who Loves Spurs, left a message, it must have been a while ago, but I saw it when I was setting the show up this morning. I saw Jim's message. So thank you very much, Jim, for putting a message and hitting the like button earlier on this morning. Peter Kegagias, hi all, 8 p.m. in Melbourne. Graham's here, says good morning, Jose. Hope all is well, my friend. I'm recovering. I've been ill since last Saturday, and I'm recovering. I'm still all bunged up and that, but the show must go on, so to speak. And then you've got Shemtam. Good morning, Jose. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your weekend. Yeah, the weekends for me, as I get older and my kids have got older, and that I don't get to do much at the weekends anymore. Yesterday we had a barbecue. We had loads and loads of family around yesterday. Not here. We went to my in-laws who only live down the road, and we had loads and loads of family. My grandchildren came up, which was really good. It's good seeing them. It's always fun. Kids come out with the weirdest things and always make you happy. Whatever's going on in life, your grandchildren can always put a smile on your face. Those that know. Morning, Ben. Ben's here. He says, morning, everyone. Good morning, Ben. Hope you're well. Yeah, so the PSR FFP debacle or not, because you've got today's the 30th of June, so anybody who is in or is believed to be in strife needs to make deals and get them on their books by the end of today, by the 30th of June, which is the end of today. Now, I said a few shows ago that in January this was all highlighted. PSR, FFP was all highlighted, and back then in January we were talking about we were in a absolutely brilliant position X, Y, and Z, and we didn't move in the winter, and we haven't moved as yet either, or we may be making moves, we just don't know about it. But what I've said along with this, what I've said is that clubs, those that are not in trouble, right, won't have to sell or won't be forced to sell. But there's also a part of me that said, and this is a few weeks ago, I turned around and said that Tottenham's buying position would be far stronger if they waited till the 1st of July rather than the 30th of June, because the 30th of June, the books that you're relying on now to make your payments or get people off the books would have been up until, or the buying clubs especially, would have been up until the 30th of June last year. So whatever we had in under PSR and FFP back on the 30th of June last year is where our spending power is for this year. So if you look at people like Davinson Sanchez, Harry Kane, Eric Dyer, Lloris, and a few others, they're going to be put through the books for this year. It's the 30th of June today. So therefore, whatever the books closes tonight, then that's what you can use going forward tomorrow. Now, I'm not an accountant. So I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure whether, if you had anything last year, whether that carries off. So normally, in normal profit and loss accounting, you do your profit and loss for the year, and then you can accrue and add to the following year, right? So whether we've accrued any money from last year and we're adding it onto the books for this year, which then mean that can then be spent tomorrow, remains to be seen. But with this FFP and PSR, it's just been absolute murder, because you read. I mean, I don't know how credible the journalists are, but you read some of the stories coming out of certain clubs, and they're saying, yeah, we don't have to sell because we're getting rid of one player, and by getting rid of that one player, it means that we're fine. Now, there's been a lot more horse trading going on as well, so people circumventing the wheel. Brian says, "Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mr. Daigle. I hope you're well. It is early for you, Mr. D." Shemtam says, "Spurs have all these transfer specialists because the way the transfers are going looks like nothing till July the 1st, except Werner, the one they should have waited. It's all very frustrating." Um, and Ben says, "Yeah, PSR and FFP have proven to be a myth." Um, so yeah, I was looking this morning, and when I got back from my in-laws last night and from seeing the family, I got in and I had a quick look on Shitter, as you do, and there's a lot of horse trading. So you've got your Evertons, your Chelseas, your Villas, and is it Newcastle? All horse trading amongst each other, and all doing this to circumvent and reinvent the rules for their favour. So by doing all this, they're now saying that they're clear. Now, what I did say in the previous show is we got the Don, we had Don Paratici at our club, who was found guilty along with others at Juventus, not at Tottenham, for doing exactly or near enough doing exactly what these four clubs are doing. The only thing is they did it behind closed doors and changed their books, and they got found guilty for it, and they got the book thrown at them. These four clubs are doing it in plain sight. They're doing exactly what Paratici did, but they're doing it in plain sight. How you can sell players at the ridiculous fees that they're selling them at. I think Newcastle have just sold, or it's going through today, Yakuba Minte. I don't know, I can't remember how old he is. He's a young winger. He's played next to no minutes of first team football for Newcastle, and they've struck a deal for 33 million for him. How's that? You got Amari Jellyman or something, Jellyman, who has been sold from Villa to Chelsea or from Chelsea to Villa or something like that. The guy's played like less than 2 minutes of first team football, and he's been sold for £19 million. So, excuse me, there's a lot going on, a lot of horse trading going on amongst clubs to get away and get around this FFP. Now, yesterday there was some sort of a story coming out of Nottingham Forest and Newcastle United. So there was a swap deal. There was a rumoured swap deal between Elliot Anderson of Newcastle United, who's 21 years of age and has played quite a bit of first team football, and obviously Anthony Alanga from Forest. And there was rumoured to be a swap deal with a bit of cash involved as well. And that has now been pulled one way. So Elliot Anderson can go to Nottingham Forest. They're prepared to sell him to Forest. But Forest don't need to sell Alanga to Newcastle and get cash for him as well, because they believe that by selling two players today, it was the Belgian guys who's at the Euros, Oriol Mangala, and there was another fella, two Forest players, and by releasing the two Forest players to French clubs, just by doing that, they're turning around and they're saying they no longer have an FFP problem. So and so therefore they're prepared to buy the Newcastle player and sell to Mangala, Diakate or something, Diakate and Mangala, by selling them both to French clubs, and not for much money, but by getting them off the books, they're now turning around and saying, we're fine. It just means that we don't breach FFP. How that happens, I don't know, because Forest were hit with penalty points. Now, and I'm aware of PSR and FFP and stuff is a rolling 3 years. So you've got to be within the guidelines for 3 years. I think it's £105 million if you're in the Premiership per season. But I think with the Championship, I think the Championship value's lower. So you've got to be within, I don't know, 35, 70 million, something like that. I can't remember if it's 35 or it's 70. So either 35 less. Now, for those that have a good memory or have memories like an elephant, like I do, I remember Newcastle coming up to the Premiership. And the minute that they got promoted, and I think they came up through the playoffs, and the minute Forest were promoted, the Greek, not the German, the Greek owner for that club then went out on a splurge and he bought, it was Steve Cooper that was in charge of Forest at the time, and he bought like 35 players in. So they already had first team players there, but he went and bought a further 35 players. And I remember thinking at the time, bloody hell, they're spending some on that, aren't they? They're really, really spending something on that. Because I remember thinking at the time as well that Steve Cooper, because it was around the time that Potter was Chelsea manager, and Chelsea did exactly the same to Potter. Chelsea was just buying players, and Potter was the manager. Steve Cooper was the manager at Forest, and the Greek owner was doing it to him as well. And then I remember Forest struggling the first season that they'd come up. They struggled, and he swapped and changed his team so many times because he didn't know who his best 11 was, and he tried players out, and I think all 35 plus whoever else they didn't score before that were used in order to find the right balance of the team. And towards the end of their first season, so it would have been the season before last, towards the end of their first season, they ended up staying up by hook or by crook. They stayed up towards the end of the season because they ran into some form. But the amount of money they spent on them players then, and they didn't have money coming in because they weren't selling players for money, and they didn't have money coming in. So Forest were always going to be on that side of the dial, if you like, and so it transpired. They owned up. They got dot points last season. Everton owned up. They got dot points last season. So it's not that they were caught by the FA when the FA looked at the books. They actually admitted before the FA looked at the books. They admitted their guilt, and then obviously the FA gave it a once over, or the investigators gave it a once over. It was an easy thing to do. Charge Everton, charge Forest, easy thing to do. But then there's all these other clubs, supposedly, because I don't know, I'm not an accountant, and I'll put that caveat in there straight away. I'm not an accountant, but there's so many clubs that we're led to believe that have broken PSR and FFP that you think to yourself that a lot more would have happened or should have happened by the end of today. Now, this is not to say that things may not happen throughout today. I mean, it's 11:15 in the morning here in the UK, so you've got another 12 hours and 45 minutes to rectify till the books close. I'm not going to say rectify. I'm going to say till the books close. Now, could it be, and I'll leave this for you guys to decide, could it be that if you're accruing, so if you're a club that's in a fortunate position, are you accruing from the previous year to this year to the books that close tonight, and then using that accrual and whatever your books said tonight to use that in order to fund you going forward as from tomorrow? And if that's the case, then you've got to look at Tottenham and say, well, there's the Kane money, Davinson Sanchez, all the players that were sold beyond the 30th of June last year. So from the 1st of July last year, all the players that were sold and all the players that you get off your books by tonight. And if you've got an accrual from the year before that, then that hopefully puts you in better stead to start funding for next season as from tomorrow. If that's the case, then that makes some sort of sense. coupled with the fact that you've got the Euros and the Copa America going on. Because whether we like it or not, there's not that many deals that are being done at the moment from clubs with players that are actually playing out in the Euros and in the Copa America. I think there's one Georgian fella, the guy that scored in every game so far. I think there's a proposed move for him, but it's a proposed move from a French club to another French club. And that's being proposed, not been signed, not been sealed, not been delivered. And that's been talked about. The other thing is that if you look at teams, if you go by the teams that have been knocked out of the competition, so if you go back to teams like Croatia, Czechia, Ukraine, and teams like that went out and didn't make the last 16, if people are interested in some of them players, you have a chance that some of them players will be purchased or can be spoken to, and deals can be struck for these. Yesterday we lost who were the two? Yesterday we lost Italy and Denmark. So with losing Italy and Denmark, I know the players got on a break and stuff like that, but it then means that if you were looking at some of the players that went to the Euros for Italy or for Denmark, then maybe some movement can be done with them players because they're now out of the competition. And as a domino effect, and so on and so on, it'll go on and on and on. But it remains to be seen. We are, as with every other club, I mean, it's interesting when you start looking at Shitter, you see other clubs as well. We're not the only team that are linked with every man and his dog. Other teams are also all linked with every man and his dog. Let me just have a look who we've got here. We've got some more people coming into the chat. Let me say hello to them. Brian is saying good evening to all the Aussies. Audio's come in, said morning Jose and chat. Good morning, Audio. Ben Kaufman, selling players worth 800k for millions. It's cheating. Let's call it the way it is. It is. I'm not saying it's not. They're reinventing what they're all doing out there. You've also got, Ben says PSR, FFP and net zero champions. You'll never sing that. Peter is saying hello to Brian. Hopes you're feeling well. Paul G. Good morning, Paul. How are you, mate? Paul G says good morning, Jose and all. Hey, we got Chris Lonnie, who's become a YouTube member. Well done, Chris. Thank you very much for becoming a YouTube member. David Shear, good morning. No, sorry, it's good evening to you guys in Oz. Jose Cobber, g'day, mate. New kit's out yet? No singing yet. And then people are saying hello to each other. So, with regards, and Scott Colliver's just joined the chat. Hi, Scott. I hope you're well, mate. I hope you're well. Excuse me. So what you've got, I was looking earlier on today. So what you've got is, yesterday we had the news that Archie Gray, who Tottenham had been looking at, and Brian's going to love this because, and Ben and Brian will love this because for them it's we're interested, we're admirers, you know, all the stuff that keeps getting said. We're admirers, we're interested, we're looking from afar, we're looking from within, all these different things that people put out there for Tottenham. And Archie Gray was another one of them. So let me just have there's good morning from Lisa Davis. Good morning, Jose, in the chat. Much love. Hi, Lisa. I hope you're well. The brainy one's ignoring me. Betty's nodded off. Ah. And then you've got Ronnie's here. It says, hello, Jose, and the chat. So, yeah. So with regards Archie Gray, I mean, in the last hour or so, it's now broken that the Archie Gray deal is off. That although things have been accepted, supposedly, I don't know because I'm not close to Brentford, but or Leeds, but they're saying that the structure that was then agreed it is not agreeable to Brentford, so they're not pursuing with the deal. So it now means Archie Gray, if Leeds need to make if Leeds needs to make the sales, then and Archie Gray is the one that they're looking to make the money on, then that is back on the cards for other people. Excuse me. Now, whether they're going to pull the trigger on this or not, Tottenham, I don't know. I'm just looking. Just looking here now. So yeah, so they're saying that with the two players, so we were looking at Antonio Nusa last season as well, supposedly, and with the Nusa deal, that was pulled with Brentford as well, and now the same has happened with Archie Gray. So it means that he's back on the table. Could there be any movements for Archie Gray? Because the one thing that happens is that if Leeds have to sell, it has to be by today, by the 30th of June. So it's not like let's wait till people have got money tomorrow. They need to, if they need to get rid of the players, it's today. It's not tomorrow. So, and if the people that have got the money want to wait till tomorrow, then you know, it's kind of a difficult one. But yeah, Archie Gray is back on the market. So there's a lot of people saying yesterday, "Oh, we lost out on him," and we were looking, we were admiring, we were doing everything else that you sugarcoat it with. But now he's back on the market. When I go back to the teams that I was talking about earlier on, I'm just looking now, and it says that I don't know who this player is, but it says that Newcastle have booked the medical for Odysseus Vladokodimos later today in order to complete a move from Nottingham Forest. Elliot Anderson will move to to Nottingham Forest in the 35 million transfer. Second one after Yakuba Minte has gone to Brighton. Sorry, so Yakuba Minte is a youngster that Newcastle have sold for 33 million, but he's gone to Brighton. And apparently they bought Yakuba Minte in for 6 mil, and so they've made a 27 million pound profit on him, selling him, and he's hardly touched the ball for the first team. There's a lot of horse trading going on. What else we got? We've got Angelo Tyro says, "G'day, David Shear. Eltel Jose is a baller." Shenta says Archie Gray had a word with Jack Clark and realised he should never go to Spurs for game time. Peter is saying, "I still think he will bring in players we haven't heard of." Paul G says, "Where I used to live, David, 2 Rocks, Yanchep, then off to Fremantle for a few weeks." And then you've got Shem Tam showing the love to good morning. So, good day, Mr. Shear, Mr. Brian, Mr. Ben Giovanni. I hope you're all well. And then Angelo is saying, "I'm good, Dave. I was going for a walk, but as usual, the London weather has kicked in." Audio, if Archie Gray leaves Leeds, he'll go to a club like Brentford, Palace, Fulham, etc. Just like Alex Scott, who was meant to be the next Gaza, who went to mid to lower half team Prem. I mean, there are stories coming out. Listen, I was listening to some of the podcasts last night, and also listened to Alistair Gold's last night as well. And they're saying that, or a lot of them saying that the reason why Brentford got stolen march on everyone is that Brentford could offer a lot more in terms of first team football as opposed to your other clubs that were looking at him. And also the wages they were prepared to give. They were prepared to give him 75 grand a week. This is all what it says on Shitter. Don't shoot me because I'm not close to the deal, so I don't know. But and that he would get more chance of first team football, and then that's the reason why he chose Brentford. But that is completely collapsed. So there's another chance there as well. So 14 minutes ago, it says Tottenham Hotspur are now plotting a sensational move to hijack Brentford's deal for Leeds United star Archie Gray. Spurs are known to have a long-standing interest in the England under-21 international. and that's come out on Last Word on Spurs. Is that Last Word on Spurs? No, yeah, Last Word on Spurs. It's come from Football League World, and it came out 14 minutes ago. Some of these things that you guys will now know already because you guys probably use shit a lot more than I do. It's not my go-to, but today I'm looking at it because of the 30th of June in mind. So you've got official Peter Zelinski, 30, is leaving Napoli and will be a free agent this summer. It's heavily reported before that he was joining Inter, but nothing officially confirmed as yet. This is what I keep saying. Clubs amongst each other can do so many deals in their own countries, and here in England, we just don't seem to be able to do deals at all. So Alistair Gold has said that everyone I've spoken to has been told by various people at Palace that Eberechi Eze is not for sale. However, no one seems to have a definitive answer on the speculated release clause, other than everyone using the same word, complicated. So yeah, I thought today was meant to be like a mini kind of window, because of this 30th of June malarkey that we've been told about. But there's not that much happening at the moment, although there is still 12 hours. Could it be? I mean, you guys will know this. But could it be that Tottenham under Langer operate differently to a Tottenham under Paratici? I mean, I don't know. I'll put it out there and see what you guys think. A lot of people say that Langer is a very, very quiet and keeps his cards close to his chest. He did that when he was at Villa. He's done that all his career, and therefore there is no news and loud bangs and loud stories coming out of Tottenham, whereby when Paratici is involved, you're linked to everyone and their dog. Well, I don't know who's running the show at the moment and whether they're doing it in partnership as a team and whatever, but there's a lot of players that we are mooted to be interested in and have been since the beginning of April. And that's just par for the course, I think. But yeah, it's difficult because we're all itching to see what our squad could look like for next season. We're itching to see whether the outgoings do go out, the incomings do come in. But today, there's just been nothing there. Angelo says, what's doing with Bentagle's interest in being banished to Turkish football? I wonder. Turkish all look the same. I'm not sure. I think that the journalist that broke that is not. I mean, I'm not going to turn around and say to you that I'm the gold mine on ITKs, but there's some names that I'll go along with because they provide more credence than others. And the person who's the only person who broke this story, is not probably the most reliable source who's broken it. So therefore, I'm not too sure that we should run with anything like this at all. Dave, if I'm honest, ill-informed monitoring of the process, deals and decisions have already been made, allegedly, is what Dave's saying. So I'm looking to see if there's anything else on there. Yeah, everything coming out. Spurs watch. Tottenham remain strongly interested in Archie Gray following the Brentford deal collapsing. That's come from Dan Kilpatrick. And Dan Kilpatrick is one of the sensible journalists out there. Yeah, this is what Brian and Ben refer to quite a lot. Transfer terminology is so hyped up. Leading the race, had a productive meeting. Hijack the deal, had a more productive meeting than the last guy. Yeah. It's superb what you read on these on Shittle, isn't it? Superb. Yeah, a lot of people saying that Tottenham now remain. Okay, what's happened to this? Right. Deal to Brentford has frozen to a stop due to the payment structure of the 40 million. Gray is more than happy with the terms. However, clubs verbally have offered better terms late last night. Brentford again moved swiftly and tried to use that to bulldoze Leeds into a deal once the medical was arranged, which is a back to front way of concluding the deal. Leeds want 30 million up front, and at this moment Brentford want to pay 15 million clear any balance next season. After spending 30 million already, Gray at 40 million would break Brentford's transfer record spend of 61 million. Tottenham, Chelsea could have the opportunity to hijack the deal if they can entice Gray to leave, who has been offered 75,000 a week wages over 5 years, 12 hours ago. Ben says Tesco ketchup sauce. Shemtam is saying, oh, it's for Shemtam. Shemtam, I don't think any young and upcoming young talent will come to Spurs when they see no pathway to the first team. And Angelo says apparently Ange only hires Aussies yes men. Monty is from Leeds and Sergio is from Portugal. Tongue in cheek from Angelo. Right, what am I doing? Let me get back to this again. It's the same big. Newcastle just seem to be everywhere. Newcastle. We've got Danny Talk Sports, who is from Leeds Sport. Hi, Danny. Hope you're well. It says Brentford wanted to pay 20 million up front and the rest over 5 years. So if the deal was struck at 40, you're saying that Brentford wanted to pay 20 million and then over the next 4 years, because the first payment of 20 million would have been the upfront payment, and for the next 4 million, pay the other 20 million, which would have been at 5 million a year, if that's what I'm reading correctly. Just a reminder, whilst I've got some people in the chat at the moment, is that memberships are now available on this channel, and it's pinned to. There's a link pinned to the chat. All new to me, so I will get tongue twisted on this because I do when it comes to membership pinned and stuff like that. So 3 minutes ago. 3 minutes ago, this is from David Ornstein, right? It says Tottenham working on a deal to sign Archie Gray. Talks ongoing with expectation on all sides that an agreement can be reached, but nothing finalised yet. The player's leaning towards joining Spurs if he leaves Leeds. And Danny Talk Sports is saying, what I'm hearing, don't know if you have heard the same, but Leeds are trying to get Rodon and Skip in the Archie Gray deal. Right, so Danny, for the Tottenham supporters yesterday from shows that I watched and heard last night podcasts I was listening to on my earphones, were saying that someone like Brentford can go in for Archie Gray and beat clubs that have been monitoring and have been speaking to Leeds for a lot longer. And people were a bit critical that I heard yesterday talking about the sense that Tottenham have talked about Rodon and talked about offering Skip to Leeds. So therefore, if this was the case and we've been in talks and in dialogues for a couple of months, then why couldn't this have been done? Why couldn't we just made that offer already? And like I said, if there's going to be money involved, which there probably will, I don't know whether there will be or not. If there's going to be money involved, then Leeds need it, or Leeds need to balance their books by today, where Tottenham may be wanting to spend money as from tomorrow. So there's kind of an impasse between both. But if you're talking about, if you're now talking about, right, so if you're talking about 40 million being the, I think with the 40 million, I think they offered 10 more So I think the Leeds would accept 30, but Brentford offered 40. I think Tottenham were prepared to go to 30, from what I've been, if I'm reading correctly, and Chelsea were only prepared to go to 28. So a 40 million deal blew both the teams out of the water yesterday, in the sense that they've paid 12 million more than one and 10 million more than the other. But if you're looking to do a deal with Rodon and Skip, what I would turn around and say to you is, how much is Rodon worth and how much is Skip worth? Because Danny, I can see what um, Ben's saying, we can get those boys off the books. Good for me. And Danny, you're saying, think Leeds are looking at around 25 million and Rodon and Skip. Well, that would be imbalanced, because if Brentford have offered 40 and that was accepted, yeah, Rodon is a minimum 15 million. A minimum of 15 million. How much is Skip? Homegrown and stuff like that. Skip's got to be worth there or thereabouts again, right? So if you're putting Skip and Rodon together, and 40 million was the offer that was accepted yesterday, then there's no way that you're going to offer two players and 25 million, because then that would make the deal 55 million. So 30 million for two players plus 25 million, that would make it 55 million. But the Brentford agreement yesterday was on 40 million. So I'm not sure whether the maths actually works that way, Danny, to be honest. But, at the end of the day, if Leeds need players, I mean, I'm not, I don't understand what the position is for Leeds financially, and you'll know, Danny, because you're a Leeds supporter. But I remember listening to you guys on Jess's channel, and you guys on Jess's channel were saying that you've got these, I don't know, it's an American football team backers that you've got at Leeds, and therefore you're not financially, you lot are all right. You're not worried about nothing at all. But now it's all coming out that Leeds need to sell players. But what and how much Leeds need to sell by today, I don't know, because if you're all talking about just Archie Gray at Leeds, then what about the rest of your players? Or do you have to sell the one player before the 30th? And then if you're going to sell any other players, they will follow on in after tomorrow and towards the rest of the transfer window, because there are people looking at Crysenso Somerville. And I know that he's not going to hit the bottom line because he was bought from another club. But with someone like Archie Gray, that would hit the bottom line because he's club trained and he's come through the system. Right, so you're saying, Danny, right, so you've got Ben saying 15 and 15 is for Rodon and Skip, which is 30. So Audio saying Skip's 10 million at most. Angelo Taro says, do they want Hill as well? Ronnie says, Rodon 10 million, Skip 2 million, they're both not worth any more. Ronnie, I think that you find that Rodon is. I think Rodon's stock's grown again. And I think that if they valued him at 15 for Leeds, then Leeds would get a touch out of this, because I think that if he's valued to a Premiership team like your Ipswich's or someone that's come up, Tottenham would probably value him nearer 20 million for someone like that. But for Leeds, because he was there last season and stuff like that, I think that they're prepared to accept 15 for Rodon. But if he's going to any other club outside of the Championship, I think they'd up it to about 20 million, to be honest. And Danny says we need to sell an asset to be with the PSR, as I'm hearing today. So you need to sell one player today, and it obviously makes more sense to sell someone who's homegrown, so it hits and is club trained, so it hits the bottom line, rather than selling someone like Crysenso Somerville, who won't hit the bottom line for you. It looks like that's just one that's going to rumble for today, but it'd be interesting to see what happens today with all this PSR stuff, because Aston Villa still not. We've not had the here we go on Douglas Luiz yet. We've had the here we go on the two players coming in. They've passed their medicals supposedly. So they've passed their medicals. So Ilin Jr. and Baranchea have both passed their medicals. But Luiz hasn't been. We haven't had the here we go on Luiz yet. So yeah, it remains to be seen. It remains to be seen what happens there. But according to Villa, Villa say they've got no PSR issues. Well, they probably say that because of the horse trading now. But it's interesting that these teams that were being supposedly sailing close to the wind by 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 selling one player between 20 and 30 million pounds, they've now said that they've got no PSR issues at all. And that's Chelsea, Villa, Newcastle, and Everton. Because Everton did the other dodgy deal where they Dobbin, a forward Dobbin who's hardly played at all, they sold Dobbin to Villa for 10 million pounds, and Ig Bononham, who's gone from Villa to Everton, was sold for 19 million. So and now they're all saying that they have no issues at all. Now Leeds are now saying that so you Leeds supporters are saying now that you have to just get rid of one, which makes that, if it's Archie Gray, it makes the one. It's the same stories that are coming out from the other clubs that were affected by PSR. But then there's other teams as well that I thought were sailing close to the wind, supposedly sailing close to the wind as well. But they've not made rules. So someone like Bournemouth, I thought Bournemouth was sailing close to the wind, but heard nothing at all from Bournemouth. Bournemouth has been as quiet as Tottenham have been, really, and not heard nothing from Bournemouth at all. So I don't know, and I really don't. I can't get my head around all this PSR FFP. All I know is that today is the closure of it, and then as soon as it closes today, apparently, and don't quote me, but then we start some new rules for next year, which are aligned or akin to what they use in UEFA in Europe. So, that will start another set of rules and another set of regs, and it will come down to what I've been saying all along. Either you've got great accountants at your club, and the FA have got really bad investigators. Somewhere in between, I think, lies the conundrum. Tenopole is here. He says, "Good afternoon. Good morning, Tenopole." Says Archie Gray is world class. Chris Lonnie, who's became a member today. Chris, hello mate. I hope you're well. Says hi, Jose in the room. I don't get it with the Gray story. He was supposedly going for a medical tomorrow, yet no deal. Smacks of BS. Um, I read out what it said on Shitter earlier, Chris, and by reading out what it said earlier, they said that they can't understand how the deal's been done arse about face, so to speak. Ben would love to have Nonto and Gray. Danny says, I don't know if you look into this at any point, but Rodon has never said bye to Leeds fans from last season. Some of the fans are saying because he's never said goodbye, he's coming to Leeds. Danny, you know what my feelings are on Rodon, and I said it on Jesse's channel and to you guys for a long, long time now. I think Rodon is a man of his words, right? And I think Rodon absolutely loved it at Leeds, and I think the Leeds faithful loved him as well. And I think, and I said at the time, Leeds get promoted because we were talking about this prior to the end of the season. Leeds get promoted, Rodon signs for Leeds straight away. I said that he'd like to sign for Leeds straight away, and then when you didn't get promoted, people in the Leeds community were saying, "Oh my God, we're not going to get him now," blah blah blah. But a nice turned around and said, "Well, I think that obviously his agent will look at the offers that come in and that, but it wouldn't go unnoticed what he did at Leeds. And at the end of the day, you got to put your hat on, haven't you? You got to put your hat on, and as a player, you got to think about yourself. And there's different variables that you need to think about. Now, I don't want to talk ill of other clubs, but the three clubs that came up last year, all three got relegated with a whimper. All three got, well, I'd say with a whimper. I said Luton put up the biggest fight, but all three came down, right? So you've now got an opportunity to stay in the Championship with Leeds, who are a big club, by the way, are a very big club, and do deserve, well, they've got a support and a representation that really is Premiership standard rather than Championship standard. So you've got Leeds, who now know where they stand, and now know what they need to do for next year and how they need to build upon. So they need to get rid of players, bring players in and stuff like that. So you're looking at that, or you're looking at, they were saying that for Rodon, the three that have come up are looking at Rodon as well. And then you have to weigh up, or Rodon and his team will have to weigh up to say, right, we know where Leeds are going because Leeds have got to build and we know where they're going. With the three that have come up, will they build and be strong enough to maintain a position in the Premiership beyond next season? Or do I have a better chance of going up next season with Leeds and then maintaining a position with the squad that they're building, because you'll know that the rules that within your playing that you're playing within. The other thing, and I think someone put a comment in here, they have, is the other team that we've forgotten about is Leicester. Leicester supposedly are in a position that are this perilous, and it's been said that Leicester would start the season with deductions and points and stuff like that. And that's based on what they did last season, not what they've done this season. I mean, there is talk about trying to offload Dewsbury Hall to Chelsea at the moment, and Maresca was his manager at Leicester last season. And who knows, will Leicester then turn around and say, we only have to get rid of one player? Because it seems to be that all these teams that were supposedly skirting with danger, they're all talking about just one player. You get rid of one player and then we're fine. We're within the books if we just get rid of one player. So really, as I said, I'm not an accountant and I don't know how it all works out, but there's something really iffy going on, isn't there, eh? Tenor Paul says, I'm happy with selling Maddison and getting someone under 18. We can get Gray. Hope we get Gray. Angelo Tyro, no James in Region Tanganga, Hill, Parrott, Emerson, Gio Hoy and Hoiberg. So much to get done on outgoings. Well, Tanganga's gone, Angelo, because he was released. He was released. They didn't. Him and Sessignon, they didn't keep. They've released them. They didn't extend their year option. So as of today, tomorrow they're free agents. So they're off the books. So Tanganga's gone, for all intents and purposes. He's gone. With the others, yeah, the Region's quiet. Hill has some rumblings. Parrott, I don't know nothing about Parrott at the moment. And with Emerson, Gio, and Hoiberg, there are suitors. Whether it's the right or the wrong things, there are suitors. Danny Talk Sports says Leicester have to sell. Good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon. Chris Agambar says big up Jose and all in the chat. Tenor Paul says Leeds have class and style, so we have to abide. I also get feeling Region back will be the bang of the bucks for us. He has style and honour. Chris Lonnie says, I don't get the Ramsey deal either. Villa have Champions League next season. If he was any good, they'd keep him. He's inferior to Lo Celso, but he does get injured slightly less. Right. I'm not going to be one of those, Chris. I'm going to be, as I see it, I think Ramsey is a really good player. I thought he was good the season before last. And I thought him and Boubacar Kamara in Villa's midfield, because they're both young, I thought they were absolutely impressive. And both then got injured. Both came out of the team. Obviously, Villa had to restructure their team. And from restructuring their team, they ended up playing and ended up finishing fourth in the league, but had to play a different system, because before that they were both in the team with Douglas Luiz and they look really, really good. I like Ramsey as a footballer. Is he worth 50 million? And I'll leave that with you guys to decide whether he's worth 50 million or not. But if you listen to any of my shows prior to today, I turned around and I said it's so much easier for Italian teams to do deals with each other. It's so much easier for German teams to do deals with each other, Spanish teams to do deals with each other, and you don't get these inflated prices. So when you look at someone like Yakuba Minte, who's just gone from Newcastle to Brighton, 33 million. He's a youngster who's hardly kicked a first team football for Newcastle, and he's been sold for 33 million. When you look at Ibrahim Gunam, who went from Aston Villa to Everton, made a few substitute appearances last year, not much first team football, sold for 19 million. You've got Dobbin from Everton, who's went the other way. He has been sold for 10 million, next to no minutes. So when you're putting into comparison and you look at these players that are going for up to 33 million, and then you look at Ramsey, who's a first team footballer and has first team minutes and will get to play first team football far more often than these others in the very, very near future, then you can understand how the world's gone mad and that they're looking for 50 million for him. If Minte's gone for 33, then and Minte hardly kicks the ball. It's not even had 2 minutes worth of football for Newcastle. Then you can see where this 50 million is coming from. It's mad. It's just the world that we live in. It's a mad market here in England, and it's just amazing how, the English teams add these English taxes. I mean, you don't. In Spain, I don't hear Spanish teams moving for each other's players and saying, "Now we've got to put some Spanish tax on it." In Italy, I don't hear them saying, "Now we've got to put some Italian tax on it." These countries seem to do deals really, 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 really easy, but yet here in England, the the trading between clubs is just absolutely horrific. It's just madness, and that's why people say that you can look further afield and go abroad to get players in because it works out being cheaper. Madness. Danny Talk Sports says Chris Loney. He was at Brentford last night having a medical and the deal collapsed this morning. Tennerpool said, "Let's go, Gray." Okay, no problem. Danny Talk Sports says, "If or when you get Gray, what position will you be looking to play him? Centre, midfield, or right back?" I think you can play both. Angelo Tyre says, "Gray going for 40, 50 million. Bergvall went for about 15 to 20 million. Bergvall might end up being better." Remains to be seen. I've not seen Bergvall play enough of him to make a judgment. Wayne, good morning, Wayne. Who's this Ramsey we're linked with? It ain't Gordon. Rodney says, "Ramsey, yes, worth 50 million, a very good player." Chris Lonnie saying Ramsey's stats are terrible. And Ronnie says, "Ben Jacobs thinks the deal for Gray will get done." Right, he says it's going to get done. Let me just have a quick look again, because there's other games going on today as well that I was going to touch upon as well. Right, so at the moment, let me have a look at this Twitter shitter space. Right, so just to remind people, there's memberships now, and there's a link there. It's pinned to the chat. I'm just looking, and from David Ornstein. David Ornstein has said, again, Tottenham working on a deal to sign Archie Gray from Leeds after Brentford offer was turned down. Talks are ongoing with the expectation on all sides that an agreement can be reached, but nothing finalised yet. 18-year-old is leaning towards THFC if he leaves LUFC, and that's coming from David Ornstein. Now, like I said, I'm not an advocate and a follower of all these ITKs and that, but there are certain ones like your Ornstein, Matt Law, Romano. Some of these you can take it that they're on the right track, so to speak, when they say anything. And there's a lot of others that just blow out hot air out there. So that's come from Ornstein, and I think that's what I read earlier as well. So Brian has gone on to Shitter, and I've just got a comment from Brian. He's put a comment to replying to someone, and he's hoping that the deal with young Mister Gray, it doesn't involve straight cash and involves Skip or Rodon, or maybe even both, which is what people have been saying. Ben Jacobs, as I think it was Ronnie said, now Ben Jacobs has come out and said, is it from Ben Jacobs or somebody else as he's retweeted? So Ben Jacobs says Spurs now in direct talks with Leeds to try and finalise a deal for Archie Gray, who is keen on the move, always the most likely side to try for Gray after Brentford failed to agree a payment structure. Expectation is a deal gets done because Leeds United still need to raise the funds. And then, yeah, so a lot of people are retweeting David Ornstein's comments on this. And now you've got Fabrizio Romano who's saying Spurs already got the green light from Archie Gray, who's keen on the move. Tottenham are confident and negotiations are ongoing. So, and then Alistair Gold has now said, still in the this is 10 minutes ago, still in the early stages, but Spurs are trying to get a deal done for Archie Gray after Brentford couldn't agree a deal with Leeds. So it looks like at the moment the flavour is that we are going for Archie Gray today, which could be the only signing that gets done with regards to PSR, because all other clubs have been tight-lipped, apart from the clubs that have turned around and said they don't need any money. I don't know whether Ben's still in the chat, but if you are, Ben, what's Federico Gatti like? Because it says Tottenham are interested. This is coming in from To the Lane and Back. It says Tottenham are interested in signing 26-year-old Serie A star, club asking for 25 to 30 million, and his name is Federico Gatti, and it looks like he's wearing a Juventus kit, but I don't know too much about Gatti. So yeah, today we'll find out. We'll find out what happens today. There again is the membership link. It's pinned to the chat, and I need to catch up. So Tenaport has said we need to stop trying to stop. We need to stop buying mugs from the elves. There's no point getting Rodot and Davies. Get Olmo and some good players from abroad. Getting homegrown mugs thing is wasteful. Destiny is waving, and players like Ramsey and Gray is why we will never do well when it matters. They are not good enough. I'm not sure whether you guys have seen it. Have you guys seen the on Shitter? They've got the stuff about Dele Alli. Dele Alli training on his own. Obviously, he's doing training regime to end up being fit for Everton, because Everton didn't release him last summer or this summer. Haven't released him. They've kept him on. So the inference is that Sean Dyche sees him as a first team player and they want a role with him, which I'm really happy in the sense that with all the problems that he's had and he's came out, Everton as a football club have supported him. So through his issues, he's been supported by his employer, which is absolutely brilliant to see, because there's a lot of employers that they'll do it in a roundabout way and they'll walk away from their obligations to their employees. But Everton have stuck by him, because Everton could have quite easily let him go. And Everton have stuck by him, which I'm really, really happy for Dele Alli that they stuck by him. And I really do hope that Dele Alli can come back and play football and express himself like he did before all these issues came to light. Because let's not forget, these issues have always been there. They've been in the back of his mind. It's part of his life. It's been imprinted. They're always going to be there. They're never going to go away. It's how you manage them. The fact that it's been out, it's out in the open now and it's public news to everyone, doesn't change the fact that it happened and that he would have been going through these demons would have been going through him from time. So I'm so happy that his employer has stuck by him, and now he's putting the hard yards in and the effort in to come back and to play first team football. I, for one, would love to see Dele Alli back on the pitch. regardless it's for another team. I'd love to see him back on the pitch and enjoying his football, because when he enjoys his football and he releases himself, he is a really, really, really good footballer. So I'm hoping that he enjoys himself. So it's really good seeing the stuff on there that I saw on Shitter. You've got Tenopol saying, so now we are on the same level as Villa. Never see Arsenal Liverpool going for Gray. Everyone has got different players that they've got on their lists that they want to go and buy. Not everyone fishes in the same pond for every single same player. Quite often it happens, but not always. So all right, what have we got here? Yeah, everything. The whole of Shitter is just talking about Archie Gray. Everybody's reporting on Archie Gray. It's the whole seems to be the whole world. The whole of my feed is all about Archie Gray. Um, right, we got Tenopol saying Arsenal want Sesko and groceries, but we want players from Hull City. Gokaris. Right, so when you're saying we want players from Hull City, are you talking about the rumours about Jaden Philogene? Because Jaden Philogene is not a bad player. But I suppose this is probably the right time now to segue into yeah, yesterday in the European Championships, two teams went out. We now know two of the quarterfinalists. We now know that Germany will meet the winners of tonight's game between Spain and Georgia. And we now know that Switzerland will meet the winners of England versus Slovenia. Um, Reports coming out yesterday are that Gareth Southgate looks to be making one change, and that is Kobe Minu to start instead of Gallagher. And the only way that he'll make another change is if Trippier doesn't make it because of his calf injury. And if he doesn't make it, he is going to select, supposedly, Ezri Konsa to play at left back. We all know there's no point in rehashing it and repainting it. We all know that we all believe, or the majority of us believe, that he imbalanced the squad by not taking another left back, knowing that Luke Shaw was injured. But what gets me at the moment is that Ezri Konsa plays centre back and has played right back at Aston Villa. And previously, I think Konsa was at Brentford, and he's previously played centre back or right back for Brentford. And all his career, he's played centre back, or he's sometimes covered in at right back. In all his career, he's never, ever played at left back. So if someone like if Trippier doesn't make it tonight, and his preferred choice is Ezri Konsa, I need to question Southgate, because Joe Gomez, who is a centre back, and Joe Gomez is the same guy that played for England back in the 2018 World Cup as a youngster and played really, really well, right? But since then, he's been much maligned by Southgate. When Liverpool have their injuries to Robertson, and when Shimikas was out of form, Joe Gomez filled in at left back. So in first team football, in the Premiership, for a team like Liverpool, Gomez has been able to fill in at left back. I know he's right footed, but he's been able to fill in at left back. So he's actually played that position for Liverpool in the Premiership when needed. Yet Southgate will turn to Ezri Konsa, who's never played left back in his life. It just, some things are just like, what really do you? And at the end of the day, he gets paid the bucks to pick the team, don't get me wrong. And he's the one that's on the training field with them week in, week out, or whenever he's got them together. But it just makes no sense, as so did not taking another left back made no sense either. So, at the end of the day, it'd be interesting to see what happens tonight. So, what I'm going to ask you guys is tell me what's happening tonight. What's the score going to be between England versus Slovenia? Because I think that's the 5 o'clock game here in this country. So that'd be the first game. So yeah, the first game is England versus Slovenia. What says you in the chat of what the score will be tonight between England versus Slovenia? I'd be interested to know what you guys think. And failing that, you then, so Danny Talk Sports says 2-1. Is it Slovakia they're playing tonight? Okay, sorry, Slovakia. So, Danny, you think Slovakia will beat England 2-1? I mean, if you're going to go on form, England have only played for 35 minutes, or they've been on top of the side for 35 minutes. I thought that England, with the substitutions they made in the last game, they looked more potent. They looked like they could go forward better and stuff like that. And as I keep saying all the time, is that for me, football, and I've said this for the last season or so now, season and a bit possibly, I've said that football to me is now in line with rugby league, whereby you have in rugby league you've got 15 players that start the game. Sorry, rugby union, not rugby league, rugby union. You've got 15 players that start the game, and then you've got like 7 people that you can bring off your bench as finishers. So the levels don't drop. You keep your levels the same or higher, and the intensity, and they don't drop. And football has now become that way as well. Football has become easier than what it ever used to be, because with football now you've got 11 players that start the match, and you can now make them 5 substitutions within that 90-minute period to keep your levels up, your energy levels up, or to intensify the pressure, your play. And in saying that, when you look at someone like England, there is an embarrassment of riches there, because when you look at the team that played, let's say the team that played the other night, and off the bench they brought off Gordon, off the bench they brought Palmer off the bench. Who else? You can bring you can bring off Watkins off the bench. This is the people that didn't start. You can bring Watkins off the bench. You can bring Eberechi Eze off the bench. You've got Ivan Toney that can come off the bench. You've got Adam Wharton that can come off the bench. And there are others as well. But they've got so much that can come off the bench and affect a game. I can't see England getting any worse than what they have been already. And I fully expect, regardless of negative Gareth, I fully expect them to come out and win tonight. And I expect them to win to 0. And I expect them, my expectation is that the minimum victory has got to be 2-0 to England tonight. If you want to be serious, the group games have gone. And what you saw yesterday is you didn't see tight affairs yesterday, because it's now knockout stage football. You've got to win tonight. You've got to win your game on a day. You don't get a second chance or a third chance as you do in group games to then get enough points to get you through to the last 16. This is knockout football now. This is your one and only. One game, you win, you go to the next round. You lose, you start your summer holidays. So even with the negativity that Southgate's tactics sometimes bring, I am going to plumb for an England victory tonight, and I'm going to say minimum 2-0. Danny, you're saying 2-1 to Slovakia. David Shear says 1-1 England, and then on penalties. Luke Shaw says Luke Shaw is now fit, and heard Borgate isn't picking him to start. Destiny 5 says managers around the world must be laughing at Southgate and England, thinking all that talent but no tactical awareness. Right, so Southgate will play with 2 in centre midfield against these part-time losers. Scott M. Hello, Scott. Congratulations to Canada making it through to the quarters of the Copa America. I didn't see the scores, but I'm sure that I saw a tweet from Brian Daigle congratulating Canada. So congratulations to Canada for reaching the quarters of the Copa America. And I hope you are well too, Scott, because it must be early for you in the morning as well, mate. Should be such an easy win for England, but Southgate will make it tough. And then you have Eugene, who's just come in and says, Hi everyone, big up and Levy out. Hi Eugene, I hope you're well. So the other game tonight then is Spain Georgia. And what does the people in the chat think on the Spain Georgia result game, whatever? I'd be interested to know what you guys think on that. So Spain Georgia people, what are you saying with Spain Georgia? Spain versus Georgia. And for those that may have just joined, just to let you know that there are memberships on this channel. And there is the link. It's pinned to the chat. I've got Chris Lonnie became a member today, which was really nice of Chris to do that. Eugene is saying, congratulations, Jose, reaching the 500 subscribers mark. Eugene, thank you very much. It's been a long, long, long road. But yeah, it's really nice to get that off my back now and getting to get there, which is I'm really happy about it that I've got there. And we'll see where this journey takes us, or takes me and takes the crowd that follow me forward. Who knows? Who knows where it can or can't end up. Scott M is saying 5-0 to Spain. Gosh, Scott's going for it, isn't he? I mean, in all honesty, looking at the European Championships, I said at the start of the Championships that I felt that this is before a ball was kicked. I felt it could be Spain-England final. If anything, since the balls have been kicked, the thing that I see is that Spain's side of the draw has got tougher, if you want to call it that, because France and Belgium didn't win their respective groups, so they pop into the left-hand side of the draw. But I don't think Spain should fear anybody at all. I think Spain's first 11, and they played their second 11 against Albania, and they destroyed Croatia. They played Italy off the park, and against Albania, it was more of a struggle, but that was with their second team. So they've played out of the 26-man squad. Spain have used 25 players out of the 26-man squad, which is quite an achievement. They're the only team in the whole tournament that has done that, that's used most of their squad players after 3 games. I thought the Georgia result against Portugal, I didn't see the whole game. I couldn't tell you how they played, but I've been led to believe that Portugal had chances, but they've won 2-0. Portugal did change some players, still had a really strong team out there, and ended up losing to Georgia 2-0. I'm really happy for Georgia as the lowest ranked team to get through to the quarterfinals. But in saying that, Spain have been the team of the tournament so far. Spain have swept aside everyone they've played against so far. And for me, Rodri in midfield, pivotal. Rodri can play on his own, and if your opponents have 3 midfielders, Rodri takes all 3 out of the game. Rodri does a one-man job that 3 men do for another team, and then it leaves 2 other players free. So you've got Pedri and Ruiz who are able to do their own thing. On form, if we're going to look at it on form alone, there should only be one winner tonight, and that should be Spain. I think I'll be right in saying that in the qualifying groups, Georgia were in the same group as Spain, and I think Spain beat Georgia 7-1. So, yeah, it remains to be seen what happens tonight. It remains to be seen. But some of the other scores that you got. So Scott M's 5-0 to Spain. Scott M says, yes, we made it through, but our play was embarrassingly bad. We made it through due to luck, not quality. I haven't seen it, as I said, Scott. I saw Brian's comment on Twitter, congratulating the Canadian Football Association for qualifying to the quarters. Eugene reckons that Georgia will beat Spain 3-2. He's a brave man that goes for Georgia. Ronnie is saying England 1, Slovakia 0, and Spain 4, Georgia 1. Johnny Fitz. Good afternoon, John Fitz. How are you, sir? It's been a while. It's been a while, and I hope you and your family are well, my friend. And Eugene is saying Slovakia 2, England 1. Wow, we got some difference of opinions there. Difference of opinions. Just have a quick look in the shitter space again. See if anything's changed. Nothing would have changed. It's going to be all about Archibald Gray. Who we got? We go down. Says from the laner back says, according to Football Insider, Tottenham fans can breathe easy as Son Heung-min is closing in on agreeing a new contract with the club with improved wages. So with this Archie Gray news that's come out today, right? What I'm gonna say, yeah, with this Archie Gray news that's come out today, for the theorists out there, has this been typical Tottenham? Has this fallen into their lap, so to speak? Because yesterday there was quite a bit of meltdown when it was discovered that Brentford had outbid everyone and Brentford were going to go for Archie Gray. People are going to turn around and say, I think now, now that deal's collapsed, Tottenham are in the front seat. Tottenham are holding all the aces because they know that Leeds need to sell. But I don't think Leeds will be bullied. I honestly don't believe that Leeds would be bullied. Now, I'm not sure, but because Leeds need to sell by tonight and Tottenham don't need to buy until tomorrow, because then like that they can accrue from the season before and add to the books that close tonight. And in the books that close tonight is when you're going to have Kane, Davinson Sanchez, the Lloris, Dyer, Perisic, Ndombele, Sessegnon, Tanganga, all these type of things, and also as well Harry Winks, the sale of Harry Winks, which happened after the 30th of June last year. All this money would be on the books for this year with the books that closed today. And then if you accrue what you had from the season before, you make an accrual, then there should be even more money spent. So at the end of the day, Leeds need to sell by today. Tottenham don't need to buy till tomorrow to improve their position. So could it be that a deal gets struck because it's so late in the day? And I mean, I don't know whether these talks have happened or not, but because it's so late in the day, if you're going to include someone like Skip or Rodon, unless these conversations have previously happened in the last couple of months, then they might be deals that might take a little bit longer to get done. Would there be something within a deal that gets done today with Leeds that there'll be a proviso that there's something will happen with these two players, or one maybe two players going forward from tomorrow onwards? I mean, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Chris Lonnie says, I see Spain winning the Euros. And look who it is, it's Joris. Hey, Jose, hola, compadre. Archie Gray going to Brentford 100%. Confirmed by Ali Gold. No, 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 no. He's not going. If you re-look at the whole of what's happened today, the whole deal has completely broken down. The whole deal to Brentford has broken down. It broke early this morning. Yeah, it's completely broken down. Yeah, David Ornstein and Alison's here. Good afternoon, Alison. Alison's from the Leeds crowd. Hi, Alison. I hope you're well. Says hi, Jose. Looks like you're getting Archie. Yeah, Joris. It broke down yesterday. The Brentford has broken down. The deal broke down, and Tottenham are now in talk. So, Sammy Mockbell, 30 seconds ago, is really late to the party, and he's saying Tottenham enter early talks with Leeds over a move for Archie Gray. Talks progressing today. More transfer on Mail Sport. And Eurofoot have now broken what David Ornstein broke to everyone this morning, saying Tottenham now going for Archie Gray, 18 from Leeds. They're working on a deal to sign him after Brentford's bid was rejected, reports David Ornstein. Ben Jacobs is reporting that Archie Gray is keen on Tottenham. And then, it says Tottenham are working on a deal to sign Archie Gray from Leeds after Brentford's offer was turned down. The talks ongoing with expectation on all sides. Agreement can be reached, but nothing finalised yet. 18-year-old is leaning towards Tottenham if he leaves Leeds. Yeah, Alison. So what I've said, and it's nice to see you here, Alison. And David is saying hello to you as well, Alison. So what I'm saying, Alison, is that the way that I see it is it looks like. Now I'm not going to turn around and say that I know Leeds United inside out. As well as you guys do. But from what it looks like to me, is that it looks like Leeds need to sell the player before midnight tonight. Tottenham don't need to. What Tottenham I think are doing, and I'm not an accountant, I think they've accrued the money from the year before. So when their books closed on the 30th of June last year, I think they've accrued that money and they're going to add an accrual to the books that close tonight. Now, the books that close tonight will include players like Harry Kane, Harry Winks, Perisic, Lloris, Dyer, Tanganga, Ndombele, all these players that come off the books, right? And their wages come off the books and stuff like that. So it makes their position this year look far stronger than the year before. Cobble that together with an accrual, and then after tomorrow, this season's books that close today will count as from tomorrow. So Leeds need to sell today. Tottenham really don't need to buy till tomorrow. So it's going to come down to the negotiations. Now, with Rodon and Skip, we're hoping that deals can be struck for them too. But I find it difficult unless talks have happened already in the preceding couple of months. I find it difficult to get a deal done for both of them today. But it could be that Tottenham do a deal with Archie Gray and Leeds for today to help Leeds balance their books out. But then during them negotiations, the discussion takes place about Skip and Rodon, or either one or both, and that takes place now. So it makes it a smoother transfer from tomorrow onwards if Leeds United decide to take it up one or both of these players. That's what I'm thinking that might happen. Because again, it's all about negotiation, isn't it? You got Ilmatic says big up. So big up to you, Ilmatic. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's like I said earlier. And I'll repeat. I'm going to rehash what I said earlier. It appears to be that this PSR FFP closes today. Some teams need to do stuff with it, but it seems to be the teams that are in danger of PSR and FFP. It seems to be the trend seems to be that you only have to do one deal, because if I look at Aston Villa, if I look at Chelsea, I look at Everton, I look at Newcastle, the teams that have been horse trading amongst each other, they have all only had to sell one player. Now, I'll go back to this again. People will laugh at me, but when Paratici at Juventus was done for basically similar things, and he got given his ban, he did it, or Juventus did it, and they did it, on the cover of their books, and in the end, they got caught, they got found out, they got found guilty, they got their bans, right? These four clubs are doing exactly what Paratici and the people at Juventus did. The only thing is these four clubs have done it in plain sight. They've not hidden. They've done it in plain sight. They've found loopholes and they've exploited these loopholes. And now after one, so it didn't take one deal to be done. It took several deals to be done for the Premier League to then turn around and say, hold on, that's not right. We're going to investigate that before putting a closure to it. So instead of doing it with one deal, they waited for a few deals to go through and then said, hold on, we're now going to look at this and then we're going to close the door on this loophole. But the horse has bolted. And I'll repeat again, when you look at someone like, right, let me look like when you look at Everton have bought Tim Arugaboam from Aston Villa. Played some first team football last season as a sub, not much, but did play some football. He's been sold for 19 million. 19 million from Aston Villa to Everton. And then that covers Aston Villa and their FFP. Everton, who've been dot points twice, who people thought were in trouble this season, well, Everton sold Aston Villa Lewis Dobbin, who's had next to no minutes in the first team for Everton, and they sold him for 10 million. So there's your horse trading going on already. So they've done it that way. Newcastle United have now sold Yakuba Minte, who has got next to no first team minutes for Newcastle. They've sold Yakuba Minte to Brighton and Hove Albion for £33 million. So therefore, they don't have issues, or supposedly they don't have issues. But then you've got, at the moment, Nottingham Forest are looking to sign Elliot Anderson from Newcastle. They're looking for another 35 million for that deal as well. So when Newcastle were being forced to sell, or people said they would be forced to sell Isak or Guimaraes, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. Selling a couple of players, or fringe players, or youngsters, Forest end up being fine. It's interesting that someone was looking at Anthony Elanga. Oh, Newcastle were looking to take Anthony Elanga off Nottingham Forest's hands, right? In as part of this deal, but Forest are selling Oriol Mangala and Diakate or Niakate. They're selling them both to French clubs today, and they're not getting top dollar for these players. But by getting them two players off their books, Forest are now saying that they're outside of PSR and FFP. So a lot of these teams have done these deals in order to avoid. Remember when there was talk about Forest were going to get cherry picked? People will be looking at taking Hudson Odoi from them, Anthony Elanga from them, Morgan Gibbs-White from them. Well, this is all abated. Everton, who've now done the deals that they've done, they no longer fear that they're going to lose Jared Brathwaite, Amadou Onana. They no longer fear they're going to lose these players because they've done whatever they've had to do. Now, at the end of the day, by hook or by crook, some of these teams have done it in plain sight. Not under the guise of darkness, they've done it in plain sight. And, at the end of the day, it's like I've said for a while now, I've said, is it that these clubs have got excellent accountants, or is it that the FA have got absolutely crappy investigators? And I think it's somewhere you got to meet in the middle with that, because these teams seem to have got away with what they've done. So all this, we were the champions of FFP and PSR, and back in January when it was all coming out, Tottenham were in the best position out of any Premiership club. It means absolutely nothing, because some of these clubs have circumnavigated the rules to bend in their favour. And what they've done is not illegal, but it's not right. And when it's not right, and then the Premiership said, "Well, we're now going to look into this," the horse has bolted. The horse has bolted. Right. Just to remind everyone, the membership link is pinned to the chat. Okay, yeah, it's pinned to the chat. I'm having to remind myself all this. David Shears, Archie Gray will be. Dragon D's Nuts. Hello, Dragon D's Nuts. I hope you're well. Says the values Chelsea and Villa are putting. The values that Chelsea and Villa and co are putting on the players means Skip is a 40 to 50 million pound player at least. The Belgian Hotspurs, Joris said, this PSR cheating is a disgrace. Fine if it's a loophole. However, if they do end up getting sanctioned, they're going to give them a very harsh penalty, and rightly so. I don't know whether they're going to get a sanction. I think what they've done it under the guise that they've done it. And I don't think they've done nothing wrong. They've just reinvented something that gets them around what the rules were. It's as simple as that. It's the same as when Chelsea were buying players 2 seasons ago and bringing them in on 8-year contracts so they can monetize the deal over 8 years. It's absolute madness. I don't. I mean, in the spirit of things, Joris, it's not right what's been done, but I think credit to where credit's due. The accountants and the people that are looking after these clubs have found a loophole. Now, I'm not sure because I'm not part of this. I'm not sure whether each club found this out themselves by looking into it, or whether one club's tipped another and said, if we do this with each other, then this then can happen. And then you bring your other legal team on board and you realise, oh yeah, we can do it. And this is what teams have done. And it makes a mockery of the rules. But like I said, today is the last day of FFP and PSR, and I have a feeling that when they had the last AGM, they voted in to go under the new set of rules, which is similar to FFP and PSR, but it's the European rules that UEFA use for European competition and stuff like that. So, and I think they're going to go down that route. And if they go down that route, then all you're going to do is you're going to have the people at some of these clubs and the people at some of these clubs are going to reinvent the wheel and things to do to get past these rules that are coming next season. So basically, the Premiership are just chasing their tail and made to look absolutely silly. Because if you think that there's a breach or you think that something's going wrong or something's been circumnavigated or something's not in the spirit of the rules or the spirit of the game, then you act upon it straight away. You don't wait for 4, 6, 8 deals to go through and say, hold on, there's a pattern here. Because with Chelsea, they did it where Chelsea, every player they bought that season, so it was the season before last, every player, so it's when they bought Mudryk, uh, Gusto, and all these bloody Ashidi, all these players they brought in. Every single player they brought in on an 8-year contract, so they monetized the deals over 8 years. But they've done it. They completed the whole of their transfer window doing that, and then the FA said, "Hold on a minute, you can't do that anymore. It has to be 5 years max." So the 5-year rulings come back to maximum. But for the whole of the summer, not after one deal, they let all the deals go through and then said, "Yeah, that's not in the spirit of things. Let's change it." And I think something similar will happen now. But the horse has bolted, and not only is it bolted, but other clubs are still doing what has happened in the last couple of weeks, are still doing this at the moment because they haven't closed the loophole off. There's no point saying, and yeah, we're going to investigate. You need to close the loophole off and bring something new in. The FA or the Premiership, whoever it is, they act so late on absolute saying, Joyce is saying, it's not horse trading, it's cheating. Call it what it is. Audio is saying that Skip must be 50 million then. David Shear says, exactly. And the biggest one is bringing the EPL into dispute and a disgrace. City, I mean. Melbourne Storm contributed salary cap and lost multi-premierships in the rugby league. In other words, they're taking the piss, is what David Shear says in his eloquent words. Ilmatic says, if we get Archie Gray, it would be revenge for Brentford hijacked Antonio Nusa, although the failed medical made it through. It's interesting, Ilmatic, because listen, I don't wish illness on anyone at all, anyone whatsoever. But the fact that that's 2 deals now, 2 deals with Brentford that have now broken down. So Antonio Nusa, who supposedly we were looking at, broke down, whether it was a medical or whatever, because Nusa's side turned around and said that they had evidence to show that he had passed his medicals and stuff like that. But this was always after the event. But now with Archie Gray as well, I can't understand why we've got him because the fee was accepted yesterday, apparently. So the fee was accepted, and then um, a medical was booked, and then I wake up this morning, and it's now all gone pear shaped, and the deal's now off. So I'm not sure what's happened, but that's twice now Brentford have gone for deals that have both fallen through. So I'm not too sure. I mean, we've had Allison here, and we've had Danny here, and now we've got Jesse. So good afternoon, Jesse. And I'm sure from a Leeds point of view, they might be able to shed more light on what's happened. Is it as simple as the deal broke down, and is it as simple as because when you call a medical, and they called the Twitter was saying that there was a medical booked and everything. So whether that's true or not, I don't know. But woke up to the news this morning, like I said, to say that it's all fallen through with Brentford and that Tottenham are now making a move. And I'll reiterate this again. Tottenham Leeds apparently need to sell by today. Tottenham don't really need to buy it until tomorrow. So you're just hoping that a happy medium gets found and that other things can happen in the sense of uh, during the negotiations, with Archie Gray, if that's happening today, that some sort of deals and some sort of an agreement can happen with Rodon, Andos, and Skip, or either one of them, because I don't think that they're going to be done today. But you could smooth the path for either of those deals to get done from tomorrow onwards to help Leeds out if they can strike this all today. Um, and that's what your hope is, because I'd like to see Leeds do well out of this as well. And we have a soft spot for them, so I'd like to see Leeds do well out of this as well. So um, Eugene says rules are made to be circumvented. Um, Dragon D says FA need better lawyers that can actually write rules correctly and stop all the loopholes. Quite possibly, quite possibly. As I said, Jessie's here. She's saying afternoon to all. Joris says, my point is they've embarrassed the Premier League with this loophole, which is true, Joris. I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you at all. Like I said, at the end of the day, it's a bit of both. I think it's really creative accountancy from football teams, got good creative accountants at their teams, or lawyers, legal representatives, and then I think the FA have just got really bad investigators. I really do. I think they've got bad ones. You've got people saying about each other. Jonathan says if they were to get a sanction in the future for another reason, they'll make them pay. Jesse says that they wanted 20 up front and the rest over 5 years. Yeah, so I think if it was 40 in total, it would have been 20 in the first year and then 4 5s to make the 40 million up. And that's not agreeable to Leeds, and it's not agreeable to Leeds. So does that mean that Leeds want it all up front? Does that mean Leeds want I don't know, the asking price is 30 million. Does that mean they want the whole 30 million up front? Because even that is a stretch. So it'd be interesting. Chris Lonnie says, Jose, I think European rules come in 1st of January next year. Well, then, Chris, that kind of doesn't make sense because that means we start with, unless we're delaying it by a season, because you start the season, the rules, whatever rules you're going by, start tomorrow, the 1st of July. So whether you're going PSR, FFP, these new European rules, they start tomorrow. So if you're saying that the European rules don't start till the 1st of January, then you can't stop the rules halfway through the season. That means you'd have to run with whatever starts tomorrow, and you have to run with that till the 30th of June next year. And then if it's the UEFA rules after that, then you can only introduce them next year. You can't do it part way through the season. So whatever rules you start with, you've got to run with them for the season, is what I'm saying. I've Roy in the house. Lee Smithy Smith says, Wagwan Senor Jose. Hello, Lee. I hope you're well, sir. I hope you're well. I don't know where you are. I don't know whether you're back in the country. You're not in the country. But I hope you're well. David's got to go. It's dinner time. Yeah, it's evening time for you, David, isn't it? Yeah. Hope you enjoy your dinner. And you've got Leo, the Mile Horseman says, big up homies. Hope everyone is well. Yes, I hope everyone is well today. So just to remind people, the membership links are pinned to the chat. I get tongue twisted when I say this because I can't remember where it's been put. But it's been, the membership link is pinned to the chat. Right, so for the people who've just joined now, there's 2 matches being played tonight. So what I was saying earlier is that the transfers have been so slow up until now, and it's probably because you've had two major competitions going on as well. But I did say that if teams are trying to buy players from, let's say, I'm going to get this right now. So if teams wanted to buy players from right, so if people wanted to buy players from Hungary, Scotland, Croatia, Albania, Serbia, Poland, Ukraine, Czech Republic, right? Them players, because they all got knocked out in the first round, didn't make the last 16. Them players will all be on their summer holidays now, and any negotiations with any players from them countries, if they were at the Euros, can now start taking place because they're out of competition. Yesterday we lost Italy and we lost Denmark. So any potential transfers for any Italian or Danish players that were at the championships can, because now they're on their 3-week their breaks before they go out to their clubs, then these conversations can accelerate and take place. So for someone like Tottenham, if you believe everything that's being said, if they are really interested in Calafiori or really interested in Chiesa, then now you can start speaking to these players. If it's true about Pierre-Emile Højbjerg leaving, then the same can be said for Denmark, with Denmark now being knocked out of the competition. People and clubs and whatever can start now speaking to Pierre-Emile Højbjerg and accelerate his departure, if that's to be believed. So each time that teams go out, you know that with them nations, you can start dealing with their players, even though they're on leave and that, then their agents are prepared to speak because they're no longer tied into the competition. The same will happen in South America. So with the Copa America, some of the group stages, I think some of the groups played their 3 games, so you know theirs is quite easy to look at because it's four teams of 4. Top 2 qualify for the quarterfinals. Teams in 3rd and 4th both go out of the competition. So it's far easier. You're not like we've got to wait for 3rd place teams to get through and all that. So some of the deals can possibly, or some talks with potential people can start taking place with some of the teams that have been knocked out of the Copa America as well. So with that, tonight you've got 2 matches, and this is, I asked the chat earlier, and I've got some responses. So some of you people have only just joined recently, and my thoughts are, and people on X, if you're watching this on X as well, put your comment in, and I'll read your comment out. But so tonight you've got the first game is England versus Slovakia. What do people think the score will be between England versus Slovakia tonight? And then the 8 o'clock game English time tonight is Spain versus Georgia. What do people think the Spain-Georgia result will be tonight? And Chris Lonnie says, what's Chris Lonnie? Chris Lonnie says, Jose, something to do with the tax year. I don't know. It's nothing to do with the tax year. It's actually the tax year here runs differently, but the football, the PSR rulings and stuff like that will always be from the 1st of July to the 30th of June. So if that's the case, then your footballing rules and guidelines run from the 1st of July to the 30th of June. So if the European rules don't come in till the 1st of January, then you cannot take them rules on board. If you're going to go down that route, you can't take the rules on board until July the 1st next year, because if they come in January and you're abiding by the rules that start tomorrow, and that's the PSR rules, then you've got to run with these rules for a year before you can start with the other rules. So rather than it be a tax year, it's the year of the football starts from the 1st of July to the 30th of June. Jesse is saying England will win 3-1 tonight against Slovakia, and that Spain will beat Georgia by 5 goals to 1. And Smithy has gone England to win 2-0 and Spain to win 3-0. Mile High Leo says 1-1 goes into extra time and England win on penalties. And then he's saying Spain will win 4-1. Interesting, because I think earlier a couple of people said that Slovakia were going to win. And one person said Georgia was going to beat Spain. I think it was 2-1 to Slovakia, is what we heard earlier from one person. And I think someone had 3-2 to Georgia against Spain. It'll be interesting, just for those that have just joined now. My thoughts on this earlier was that even with Southgate's negativity, or it appears negativity, and not wanting to change things, I think that England, the same as yesterday. I mean, I didn't watch the games because I was with family yesterday, but from what I saw, the bits and clips that I saw, it's tournament football. This is not like we play a second group game and we play a third group game and we can have points and we can get through. This is tournament football. This is you win, you're through, you lose, you're out. There's no second or third game to save you. You know, and I can finish third in the group and still qualify. No, it's a one-off game. And in saying that, as far as I'm concerned, the games were clear cut. Switzerland 2, Italy 0, Germany 2, Denmark 0. Clear cut. Teams knew you win, you go through. So, and I think that when it comes to that, I think England will step up their game tonight. Like I said earlier, it's become like a game of rugby union, whereby you've got your starting players and then you've got your finishers that come off the bench. And if England go in with the one expected change, which is Mainu for Gallagher, and this is all dependent on Trippier being fit, but he's already turned around and said that if Trippier is not fit, but bearing in mind they all trained yesterday, but he said if Trippier wasn't fit, instead of selecting someone who's played left back or who is left footed, he said that he would put Ezri Konsa there at left back. And you sort of want to smash your head off the wall. I mean, we don't train the players, we're not there at training, but as I said earlier in the chat, in the show, Ezri Konsa, in all his first team football, so whether it was at Villa, at Brentford, and the club that he was at before that, he's never played left back. He's played centre back or maybe filled in at right back. Never played left back. If Trippier is to be injured, then you've got Joe Gomez, who played for England back in the 2018 World Cup and played really well. He was back in the England squad years and years ago, right? When Robertson has been injured and Tsimikas has been out of form, it's Joe Gomez that's played at left back for Liverpool. So Joe Gomez has played left back for the first team for Liverpool, right? And ended up, not being selected ahead of Ezri Konsa if Trippier gets injured. It's just, to me, it's mind-boggling. But anyway, I digress. So when you look at the England team, and you've got their starting, let's say I'm going to run with it's Mainu starting tonight, and that's it. That's the only change, right? So you've got your midfield is going to be Mainu, Rice, Bellingham, Saka, Foden, and Kane, right? So let's say it's them six for argument's sake. Where I'm talking about the finishers is when you've got the ability to bring on Wharton. You've got the ability to bring on, you can bring on Gallagher as well. But then you bring on Bowen. You've got the ability to bring on Palmer. You've got the ability to bring on Gordon. You can bring on Eze. You can bring on Watkins. You can bring on Tony. That is finishers. There's a lot of players there that can finish the game for you and finish the game strong. And I expect now that tournament football begins, I would like to say to people that I can see England winning at least. The bare minimum has got to be 2-0 tonight to England, right? And what I said at the start of the competition when people were asking me, I turned around and I said, I think the final is going to be England versus Spain. The England side of the draw, supposedly, people believe in the right-hand side of the draw, supposedly has got slightly easier, is what people are saying, because you've got the teams that didn't win their groups that have gone on to the left-hand side, which is Spain's side of the draw. So with that, excuse me, with that, we're talking about France and Belgium, who both became runners-up in their groups, and now meet each other in the round of 16, but they're in Spain's side of the draw. So the definite thing is the winners of Spain-Georgia tonight will play Germany in the quarterfinals, and the winners of excuse me, the winners of England-Slovakia will play Switzerland in the quarterfinal. Tomorrow's games will whoever wins tomorrow's games will both meet each other in the quarterfinals because they're on the left-hand side of the draw, on Spain's side, and the winners of Tuesdays, both the games on Tuesdays, meet on England's side, I think, of the draw. So you can already pan out. You've got 10 teams left in the competition now, right? Yeah, there's only 10 teams now left in the competition because 2 went out. No, it's got to be more than 10. Hold on. Let me get my bearings straight. Right, with the games that are being played tonight, there's 12 teams left in the competition. 14 teams left. There's 14 teams left because 2 went out yesterday. So you can now tell from the left and from the right that the finalists come from these 6 and the finalists come from these 7 and these 7. So you can start working out if you want to do that. But football was never played on paper. And this is proven by Switzerland. If you looked at on paper, everyone's saying Italy, but you looked on form and Switzerland had better form than Italy. And they've gone out and won it. So you can work out for yourself. So for me, at the moment, I've got it could still be an England-Spain final. I'd love it to be an England-Spain final. And it's just, I just think here in England, it's just something that would cheer up the country no end if England do well. Economically, England do well, it improves the country as well because it brings money in. Now, whether it's the people that are going out buying bunting, whether it's the people that want to go out and do barbecues, whether it's people that want to go and buy drinks, whether it's people that want to go and support local pubs, which are all closing down, left, right, and centre, being gentrified, building blocks. The social meeting points that people used to have 30, 40 years ago when I was growing up, they're no longer there. So yeah, the longer and the deeper that England stay in the tournament, the better feel-good factor it becomes for England as a country. And I suppose it does for other countries as well that are still in the competition. If they go in deep, it feel-good factor for them as well. But I happen to live in England, so I'm going to talk about England. So yeah, it remains to be seen. Wayne Bonner is saying, I'd stick Bellingham next to Rice and Foden centre of the 3 behind Kane. But he's already said he's going to play Mainu tonight. He's already said that, which then means that. See, the problem that I've got is by not having a naturally left-footed player, it imbalances a team whereby Trippier, whoever plays in front of him, is going to do a lot of defensive work because they haven't got a natural left footer on that side. I would have, if I was allowed to pick the side, I would have gone in for this game with Saka at left back. I would have played Palmer out on the right hand side. I would have brought in Gordon to play on the left, and I would have played. I would have still stuck with Mainu. I would have stuck with Mainu and Rice and put Bellingham in the hole and Kane up front. And I think that provides far, far more potency and threat and balance than what it does at the moment by not having a left-footed player playing at left back. But these are the conundrums that Gareth has to sort out. And I don't know. I mean, who knows what's going in someone's mind? Is this Gareth's last tournament? Does he know that he's going? does he know that he's done it? He's had enough. Because when you did an interview, he did an interview the other day, and he defended his team really well. He always defends his players. Let's not get away from it. He always defends his players. And he turned around and said, at the end of the day, I can see why people come after me and stuff like that, but don't go after your players, is what he says. And I think to myself, yeah, it's great that he's supporting the players and that. So he knows that whatever he's doing is going to divide the nation or divide the fan base. But even with saying that, um, he's got thick skin for the time being, and I just think that, yeah, I think that I think he knows he's going. I don't think he's staying, and with that, I would turn around and say, watch this space with Man United. I just say watch this space because although Ten Hag has stayed on and not been given his marching orders, I think that there could be a possibility that Ten Hag, because Ineos love Southgate, and I think that Ten Hag could still be given his marching orders after the Euros and the minute England go out. I think they will possibly end up going for him. Hope I'm wrong, but it's just a sneaky feeling that I've got. Because keeping Ten Hag, I thought they would have done the deal for his contract already because he's got 1 year left. And if they were going to extend it to 3 years, I thought they would have done it by now, got it all over and done with and sorted. But anyway, it is what it is. So, with saying that, as I said, everything. Oh, there's another one. Yeah, it seems to be all the news is around Archie Gray at the moment. So we'll have to wait and see what happens for the remainder of the day. Um, the last call and last shout is to everyone to remind everyone that the membership link is pinned to the chat if anyone wishes to become a member. So I've got a few that have become members today, and I thank you very much for that. And I wish every single one of you all the very best today in whatever you choose to do, whether you're going to be doing a barbecue, whether you're going to have a drink to watch the game, whether you're going to spend some time with the family, whether some of you may be working. But whatever you do today, I hope that you thoroughly enjoy yourself. I hope that you all stay healthy and bright and perfect. And we shall see what happens tonight for England and for Slovakia and for Spain and for Georgia. And obviously, whatever happens tonight will happen with the closure of PSR and FFP. So, thank you very much for watching, everyone. It's been a pleasure having you all and having you listen to me for a couple of hours. And I will catch up with you all when I am next back on, which I've not put a date on it yet, but I might be. I'll probably do something during the week again, or a few times this week, and hopefully get some good news from tonight's games and some news that we've actually gone out and done some deals, and let's get this transfer market moving. So, thank you very much, everyone. And it's like always, it's in Ange I trust, or we trust, and come on, you Spurs.